Airbnb is making millionaires all over the world. It's possible to make over $10,000 a month from just one Airbnb. That's all you need to quit your job, become financially independent, and pursue your dreams. So, I'm wondering why you haven't started this business yet. Most likely, you're putting off starting because you don't have the resources or experience necessary. However, you don't need a lot of money or experience to get started, and the process isn't nearly as difficult as you might imagine. A year ago, I had no idea what Airbnb was, but now I'm looking to locate my first property on the platform. Let me show you how to start an Airbnb business today and how to grow it to a point where you can earn more than $10,000 a month in passive income. For those who haven't heard of Airbnb, it's an online platform where anyone can list a property and rent it out for a fee. These properties are great for short trips or vacations, but you can also stay for an extended period of time. A growing number of people are using Airbnbs for quick trips, and the industry has taken over the short-term rental market. Anyone can use Airbnbs to list their property and start earning money right away. Airbnb charges a per-night fee for each listing. This means that while some make $1,000 a night, others make $500 a night. And unlike long-term rentals, short-term rentals have the potential to generate a lot more income. One effective way to create money is through Airbnbs. When I visited an Airbnb in Grand Bend, Ontario a few months ago, I decided to inquire about the income generated by the Airbnb. A year's worth of income from that one Airbnb property was unbelievable to me, and he even told me that he owned 3 other properties on the site. It's his main source of income. For the first time in my life, I've come to realize that you can work full-time as an Airbnb host and then retire at the end of the day. Because of this, I began investigating Airbnbs as a possible entry point into the industry. As a matter of fact, I'm currently constructing a property that I intend to use as an Airbnb in the future when I'm not using it myself. However, let's get to the important part, which is how can you feasibly start an Airbnb business right now? You can run an Airbnb business in one of 2 ways. The first is Airbnb Arbitrage, and the second is simply purchasing a property and converting it into an Airbnb. To begin, let's first take a look at how Airbnb Arbitrage works. To give a brief overview, the process of Airbnb Arbitrage begins with a simple search for a rental property. Talk to the house owner and tell them that you'd like to rent the property from them, but that you'd also like to put it on Airbnb, and they'll be more than happy to accommodate you. Of course, you need to assure them that you'll handle everything related to Airbnb on their behalf. As a result of this arrangement, you will pay the monthly rent and you will keep the Airbnb earnings. Of course, the idea is that you will end up making a profit from renting out the property on Airbnb, and since you're charging per night, you will be able to make more money. If you look around, you'll see a lot of people are starting with Airbnb Arbitrage first, before moving on to buying their first property to convert into an Airbnb, which I consider to be a better idea. Let's move along to the second way you can make money with Airbnb, which involves purchasing your own property and transforming it into an Airbnb. This is the path that I'm preparing to take, and as of now, I'm searching for Airbnb properties in Goderich, Ontario and Bayfield, Ontario. For instance, I found this adorable property for only $367,000. It's an oceanfront property and even has private access to the beach. But if I were to buy this property, I definitely would not pay for it in cash, so I would need a loan from the bank. This is what most people do. Because I'm borrowing the remaining funds from the bank, I'll only need about $30,000 in savings to make a down payment on this property. If you want to purchase an Airbnb but don't have a great deal of money, I recommend that you look into buying one with someone and splitting the costs 50-50. This will make things much easier for you, and you can also divide the volume of work. If acquiring an Airbnb property is something you'd like to do, start saving money as early as now. I understand that it's challenging to save and manage money, but I have one thing that can help, and that's Betterment. Betterment is a tool that aids you in saving and investing your money in order to achieve a specific goal. For example, if your aim is to acquire an Airbnb property in 2 years, Betterment will provide a program that you can use to aid you in getting there. If you're trying to increase your income, invest, save for retirement, or anything else, Betterment can develop a plan to ensure you achieve that target. Saving money to buy your first Airbnb property is a fantastic idea in my view. If you want to make over $10,000 a month in passive income, you simply have to follow specific steps regardless of whether you want to conduct Airbnb Arbitrage or have your own Airbnb property. So, I'm going to give you a little guide on what you need to do right now if you want to start as soon as possible. The first step is selecting a great area for your Airbnb, and this is crucial because you want to pick an area where a lot of people come. This way, people will book your Airbnb 90% of the time. I do think that you should choose a place that you know well, so you can pinpoint the great and the not so great parts. A smart place to begin is in your hometown or a nearby location. Popular tourist destinations include those in the city center, near the coast, and frequently visited areas. The Airbnb near Disney World, for example, is certainly ideal if you're looking to stay in Florida. Buying an Airbnb can be tricky if you don't know where to start looking. A good place to start looking for Airbnbs is in your neighborhood. It's possible to get into the Airbnb game if you notice a lot of successful properties in a particular location. One of the most important things you should also do before buying a property is work with a trustworthy real estate agent. The agent should be able to provide you with a lot of recommendations and will have intimate knowledge of the neighborhood. Think of it this way: you found the ideal spot. In order to find Airbnb properties in that location, the next action is to do some research. Both Zillow.com and Realtor.com are good places to look for properties. You can also search for properties that are for rent if you are considering Airbnb Arbitrage, and only look for properties that are for sale if you are considering purchasing an Airbnb property. When you identify a possible Airbnb property, go back to the Airbnb website and see if there is a similar property nearby. Consider the cost each night and the size of the Airbnb. You don't really want to compromise on a property earning just $100 per night. Instead, look for something earning at least $600 per night. I understand that $600 seems high, but in a good area it's achievable. Plus, if it accommodates at least 5 people a night, charging $600 per night shouldn't be an issue. Here's an Airbnb that I'd personally buy. The beach is only a 5-minute walk away, and it's in a popular area. It's also a respectable 1,800 square feet in size. It's not really a big place, but they charge a lot more since they let 8 people stay there every night. Preferably, you want an Airbnb property that meets these standards. You'll be able to bring in at least $10,000 a month this way. The method is quite straightforward if you just buy a property and turn it into an Airbnb. But Airbnb Arbitrage is slightly different. Because it's a form of Airbnb Arbitrage, you have to approach the property owner directly and persuade them to let you list their property on the website. It will look much more professional if your real estate agent can contact the homeowner on your behalf. Let's say you've successfully acquired the property. The next step is to contact an accountant to determine your next course of action. In some cases, an LLC may be required or something similar. Next, you need to furnish the Airbnb. In my opinion, it's actually rather enjoyable. To learn how to decorate your Airbnb, you may simply watch lots of new YouTube tutorials. IKEA or the Facebook Marketplace also provide affordable furnishings. It goes without saying that your property will require internet access, toilet paper, shampoo, and any other amenities that can be found on Airbnb's listings. Also, Airbnb has a bunch of free materials available to you, such as manuals and seminars. Here you'll find all the information you need to get started. Now let's talk about how to ensure that your Airbnb property makes at least $10,000 each month. To compute this, you need to apply a formula, which I will provide on the screen. So add the monthly expenses to the monthly profit goal. Assume your monthly expenses are $3,000 and your monthly profit goal is $10,000. Now divide that number by the number of nights per month that the Airbnb expects people to stay at the property. A good rule of thumb is 20 nights. The answer is $650, which means you need to charge $650 each night to generate $10,000 per month. It's a rough estimate, but it's usually extremely accurate. This relates to my earlier point about getting the ideal Airbnb. Simply put, you can't expect to earn more than $10,000 per month from your Airbnb if it's not situated well and isn't a good property in the first place. Finding the perfect property will take time, but it will be worth the wait. Your property has now been listed on the Airbnb website, so now what? This means that you can immediately begin to earn money by renting out your property to guests. This business should generate passive income so that you don't have to handle all the appointments. Getting a property manager is the only way to make this a 100% passive company. This implies that someone can oversee your whole Airbnb while you sit back and relax. The property manager will take care of the guests, cleaning, and restocking. They are there to make sure that everything goes according to plan. When looking for a property manager, you can look on Airbnb's website plus a handful of other places online. However, a simple Google search will give you a variety of results. Call a few and compare them. Property managers normally take between 15% and 20% of your profit. That's not that bad given they're practically operating your entire Airbnb for you while you relax and receive your income. You don't have to hire a property manager, and you may handle it yourself if you like, but I strongly advise you to do so. Then you can use your spare time to acquire additional Airbnb properties and grow the business. Obviously, this is not just an easy money method. It takes a long time to get your first Airbnb, but I assure you it will be well worth the wait. This has to be among the best strategies to build wealth and passive income, and it can easily turn into a full-time job. You may even retire early. Getting your first property is the most difficult part of the process, but once you do, the rest will be a breeze. So good luck if you do decide to pursue this, and I guarantee it will be 100% worthwhile when you retire from your homes and make a fortune.